Hey Eurovision fans, it's Tom coming to you from Dublin. I'm back for another Eurovision analysis video. Today I'm going to be giving you an update on the Eurovision Scoreboard. There have been some changes before and after the Barcelona Pare-Party. So let's kiki. Okay, so if you don't know Eurovision Scoreboard, it is an app where Eurovision fans can put in all their votes and then it aggregates them all together. At this point in time, we have just over 34,000 different Eurofans voting, so that number is getting bigger and bigger. The majority of the videos that I had earlier on in the season had around 20,000, so we've got a lot more people voting now. Another thing to note that's different since last time is now the app is fixed. So previously, anytime a new song was entered, everyone's votes would be reset. You had to update your rankings with the new country to show that you had considered them, and then the votes would come back in again. Because there's no new songs left to be released, the numbers are just going up and up and up and up and up, and they're going to continue doing that way until we reach the actual competition. So who knows how big we can get. We might get up to like 40, 50,000 people, but the more people we get, obviously that's more information about which songs are popular. I'm not sponsored by the app, by the way, although I think they probably should sponsor me at this point, but no, I'm not sponsored. Okay, so first of all, let's look at how things were on Saturday afternoon before the Barcelona Pare-Party. So that was around a week and a half after my last video. So three big changes here. First of all, let's look at column one, which is just pure points loss. But there were two pretty big losers. The first of those was Loreen. Now, she is top of the chart, so she has the most points to lose. So not too surprising that she lost a lot of points, but she lost 5 times more points than Käärijä. So that is quite irrelevant because that means now he's closing his gap on her. So previously she was around 2.7% ahead of him, and now that's whittled down to around 1.8. Her lead above him has come down around a third. So he's closing that gap. The second big loser was Georgia. She lost around 13% of her points. Now that is something that I've talked about quite regularly on here, is that when a new country comes in, they tend to be a little bit overranked, and then in the next rankings I do, they tend to come down. That's something I've seen with like literally every single song that I've done so far, apart from Armenia, because the third big change in this ranking is that Armenia's actually gained almost 10% of her points. So this is really strange. This is the first time I've seen this happen actually. Other than the UK had a similar thing as well, where they came in, lost, and then actually slowly gained and gained and gained. Armenia just came in and then gained. I think it's possibly because the song is a little bit of a grower. I remember when I listened to it the first time, I was like, oh yeah, I'm enjoying this. But listening to like the second, third, fourth time, I kind of liked it more and more. Maybe it's possibly that effect, or we're just more people getting to know the song. Overall, Iru and Loreen lost approximately 13,000 points. Obviously, I'm comparing two different points in time, so it's a little bit hard to make a perfect comparison. It does look like the majority of those went to Armenia. UK also making some gains as well. She gained an increase in 3% in her total points. Belgium also making good gains. Everyone below 19th in the ranking made a gain, apart from Iceland. I'm not sure why, but she lost a couple of points as well. Possibly some people who like Diljo, can't say her name right. Okay, I'm just gonna say it in 3 different ways and tell me which way is right. Diljo, Dilja, Diljao. Just I'm not sure which one it is. Anyway, I think she might have lost some of her points to Armenia. Okay, now let's go forward in time and let's look at what happened after the Barcelona Pare-Party. The biggest thing to note is that Loreen continues to be the biggest loser. Again, person with the most points, kind of expect that. But again, she lost 7 times more points than Käärijä did. That gap now coming down even further to 1.75. So it's getting closer and closer. Another big loser was UK. A lot of people were not happy with her performance. She was sick. You do need to keep that in mind. But yeah, some people feeling that the energy wasn't there, the vocals weren't there. They're a little bit worried for her. That's the first time I've seen the UK lose points in a long time, because she's been steadily growing and now she's had a very small loss. But pretty much every other country who performed in Barcelona Party had a gain. So the biggest gainer was Spain. She had the biggest increase in percentage of the total points. Now that's not surprising to me. I thought her performance was really spectacular. Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking at this as something that could, I don't think it can win, but it's something that can influence the results in some way. If she can do really well in the jury, that's definitely going to have an effect on Loreen's points, because that is more likely to be her largest point source, whereas Käärijä is more likely to be with the televote. Another thing is I'm currently doing research on another video on the Eurovision Scoreboard where I'm comparing the semi-final Eurovision Scoreboard results from previous years with who actually won the televote and seeing are they correlated or not. That's something I'm working on. I'll probably have that video out by the end of this week. I don't want to ruin that video too much, but basically the battle between Käärijä and Loreen is very much alive. Trust me. Okay, the second biggest gainer after the Barcelona Pre-Party was Georgia. So people very impressed by her vocals. She was on the stage on her own. She had a really, really great show. That last 30 seconds, which for me is the most special key part of the song, she absolutely nailed it at Barcelona. It sounded really, really perfect. And she was moving around in that. I imagine her stage show, she'll actually be standing still with lots of stuff happening around her. So she'll be able to focus on the vocals even more so in Liverpool. So people were very impressed. This made a little bit of a gain after previously having that newcomer loss. Okay, and the third biggest gainer was Latvia. I totally agree with this. This also grew for me a lot. I thought they were really professional. They sounded great. Great intensity and performance style. Really massively rooting for this. This has gone up my rankings a lot. It's not at my top 10 or anything yet, but compared to where I was when I first heard it, when I really didn't like it at all, this is really, really growing on me a lot. And I'm glad to see that it's been growing on other people as well. So that was the third biggest gainer. And then the fourth biggest gainer was Belgium. Now, even before the pre-party, Belgium was building up momentum. So Belgium's points that he has actually increased by a fifth since my last video, which is a huge momentum shift. I think this is definitely picking up steam. His pre-party performance I thought was really, really great. I think there could be ways it could be elevated even further to make himself a safer qualifier. This definitely is in contention in semi-final number 2. He got given the 5th running slot, which was much better than the opening slot that a lot of us thought that he was going to get. So yeah, this is one to keep an eye out on. And then another country to note who also improved was San Marino. They've increased their total amount of their points by a quarter since my last video, and I think that's largely down to performing in Barcelona and winning a lot of people over. They've got a very nice personality, so that's good to see as well, but they're still quite heavily in last place. I'm not sure if that revamp is coming. I can't remember the source that told me that the revamp was actually happening, so I'm not sure if it was a legitimate source or not, but I do hope it is coming. I would like to see them kind of come a little bit more competitively into Liverpool. Right now it does look like they don't have too much of a shot. Other than that, all the other Barcelona pre-party effects made gains. Portugal, Lithuania, Slovenia. Ireland made a gain, but it was one of the smallest ones. And finally, we have a couple of ranking changes. So Slovenia, from that performance at the pre-party, has put them up above Israel. Now they're back into 9th. Latvia's consistent, super loyal hyper fans and their increase in Benidorm means that they have moved up above Portugal into 18th. Thing I mentioned earlier about Dilio, I meant to say her name. Sorry, Icelandic people. She went down a spot and Switzerland went up. A little bit disappointing considering that she performed and Remo didn't. Belgium has moved above Denmark into 27th and Ireland has moved above Greece into 33rd. So a couple of small changes, nothing massive. We wouldn't expect any gigantic changes at this point in time, but interesting to see that the pre-parties do have an effect. People are reacting to the performances and watching them, and it's changing their opinion. Okay, so that's what I thought about those changes. Keep an eye out for that video that I'm doing about the Eurovision Scoreboard, how good it is at predicting the semi-final qualifiers. I'm hoping to have that video out this week. Leave a comment for me in the comment section down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and thanks so much for watching. See you in another Eurovision analysis video very soon. Goodbye.